Welcome to episode 162 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg, and Warren Sklar is off this week, but can't have a better guest this week than Mr. Chuck Joyner back on the show. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great, Dave, but who gave Warren the week off?
I wondered myself, but he's at the beach house, so he's having fun this week, so... He's got his family, but that's okay. We'll miss him, but he'll be back next week. But that doesn't mean things slow down with news and everything else that's been going on this week for Apple. It's been pretty active, but we're going to hit some of the news this week. And towards the end of the show, Chuck and I are going to talk about all the Apple products that we have, at least in the iOS world, and maybe one or two things that we like of those. We'll be hitting that, and plenty of news, plenty of topics, but let's just dive right into this and see what's happening this week. First story, this is in Mac Rumors. Apple begins selling refurbished 8th gen iPads, starting at $279. Apple began selling these refurbished 8th gen iPad models through its online store in the U.S., first time since the device was released last year. And as usual, it's the refurbished models, and the discount's probably about 15%. From the $329 price, brings it down to $279. And of course, they're certified, so you don't have to worry that there's anything wrong with them. They're going to give you full warranty, and then of course you can also buy Apple Care on them too, which is $69 for an iPad, not too shabby. It's good to see that Apple does this stuff. And if someone wants a nice entry level iPad, this iPad's pretty gosh darn good, don't you think, Chuck?
I do. I mean, it's unfortunate that because now it makes me want to go and buy one just because
just have one.
It's such a good deal. Well, it's such a good deal.
It is.
Because you're right. I've bought a ton of refurbished things, and never, not once have I ever had a problem with any of them to any significant degree. And half the time, you wouldn't even know that these are refurbished.
Right.
The packaging might be a little different, but beyond that, it's just like buying a brand new device.
Yeah, exactly. And I've bought Macs that way. I've bought. I think I have bought a refurb I had at one point. Never did an iPhone, but I've had many of the other products, and you can't beat it. And to have it certified, just like brand new, and you get a nice little discount. Yeah, you really can't beat it. So go out there, grab one. I mean, I'm sure Apple's got a pretty good amount of stock of them that's been coming through. But better get out there quick because sometimes it does. The products do run out soon. So. Next story, this was in Mac Rumors as well. Free ad-supported IMDb TV streaming service is launching as a standalone mobile app. IMDb has released its standalone iPhone and iPad app for its free ad-supported TV service, meaning now users can look at access of its video offerings and no longer need to go searching for it in the standard IMDb app. They offer a free range of popular shows and movies and all kinds of stuff on here. It is an Amazon subsidiary, and I always found it to be a challenge to be able to watch this without having either Prime, going through Prime Video, or using a Fire TV for that matter. So this is great that you're going to be able to access this content. And I'm telling you, streaming services are they're just going crazy, going like gangbusters. There's so many of them out there. But there are probably some decent content on here. I don't know if have you ever watched any shows on this network, Chuck?
Well, let's put it this way, David. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I've seen the ads pop up for different shows on it, and I can't say yes or no that I've ever actually gone. This kind of thing surprises me just a little bit, that we haven't seen just a little more of this. The streaming services figuring out a way to just put their streaming service not just in Amazon Fire or Google or whatever, but that as an alternative, if I just want to watch this, then why not just give me an app where that's all I get, to simplify things. So will this be a bellwether? I don't know, but I'd kind of like to see it be a bellwether, because I think that it could be an avenue toward maybe making some of these one-shot things a whole lot more affordable than having to sign up for the big packages.
Exactly. And then you got services like Pluto TV and similar services like that where they incorporate a lot of those services in a one-stop shop type of thing. It all depends on what type of agreement they sign with the particular player. But I've always found that because sometimes IMDb's TV network does have some really good shows I'd like to watch from time to time, and it's free, which is even better. Well, I don't want to be making dives here to go try to find it has always been a challenge. So this is good news. I'm glad it's coming out here. So and next story here is strange this week. This with iOS 15 coming out very soon here. This is a Mac Rumors. This was posted a couple days ago as we record this. Apple appears to be launching iOS 14.8. Apple does appear to be planning to release at least one more update to iOS 14 ahead of the launch of iOS 15. It was some code that was actually spotted in Xcode. And there are mentions of the release in Xcode along with a mention of iOS 14.8, which suggests that the new update may be coming in the near future or even ahead or alongside iOS 15, which makes sense, I think, because there are going to be devices that are going to be at the end of the road. I'm thinking the 6S in the iPhone line, some of the lower end ones for iOS 15. But I'm kind of surprised. I don't know about you about this, Chuck.
I think actually this is a good thing because it shows that Apple is going to be doing support for some of the non-current operating systems, which they've done for a while. But the fact that this may be the case, and I mean iOS 15, that's what I haven't run the betas, but there's certainly going to be a lot of changes in it. And so if I decide not to be one of the people that falls on the sword at first, and maybe that's not an apt analogy anymore since there have been so many betas and they've been so widely distributed. But just the idea that, okay, if I'm running iOS 14 and I don't want to be an early adopter of 15 when it actually is officially released, I can feel comfortable that I'm going to assume that these are minor bug fixes and security updates. That may or may not be true because we haven't seen either one. But this is a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it's it's going to stay current, and they've also done it with iOS 12 and iOS 13 for depending on the ones before that. You've got devices that can't go past iOS 12, so 12.5, whatever it is now, is out there still, and that kudos to Apple to continue to unlike Android, where you're at end of the line with an Android device, where at least Apple is smart, and there are people who want to hold on to their older devices, and obviously sooner or later you're going to have to think about moving on because apps are going to start becoming incompatible. But yeah, no, this is good news. So be on the lookout for it. It hadn't gotten a lot of press, so I think it was kind of a strange thing to find, and you don't see too much discussion of it. So, but hopefully it comes out next week, and maybe it's got some fixes that we aren't aware of in iOS 14 anyway. This topic I found was to be a little interesting here. This is in Mac Rumors. A new U.S. Antitrust bill would require Apple and Google to allow third-party app stores and sideloading. This is a new bipartisan antitrust legislation that targets both Apple's App Store and Google Play Store. And it was introduced today, this week. Actually, this was yesterday as we record this, from U.S. Senators Richard Blumenthal, Marsha Blackburn, and Amy Klobuchar. And the Open Markets App Act is supposed to be meant to have free, clear, and enforceable rules that protect competition and strengthen consumer protection. And again, we're dealing with senators here. Do they have a lot of knowledge of this, which you kind of have to question, in my opinion? And there was some stuff here, statement of what the legislation is really doing. But is it a good thing to force, specifically to us, Apple, to have the App Store be open? I mean, this has been a discussion for a while. What do you think, Chuck? This is definitely going to be interesting.
I've got to leave now and go take my blood pressure medicine.
I'm with you too. It's just
this just drives me crazy because I think it absolutely shows, it demonstrates just how much these legislators and these three in particular just don't understand what they're talking about and what they're asking for. And I mean, I absolutely detest both of these. The side loading thing, it just completely makes me crazy.
It is,
because that's a security, a security issue. The third party app stores, I don't understand what they. I mean, part of me says I don't wish hacking on anybody, but I almost wish somebody would hack these three and give them a taste of what it's like to be hacked. Maybe they would then, and that's a dangerous statement to make, but I just made it because, having lost some things and having been hacked to this much or a very small degree,
right.
I know how much hassle it can be. I know how much time it sucks up to try to undo the damage. And for them to be advocating this, you just know that there are hackers out there just wringing their hands, in the very best Dr. Evil kind of imitation, saying, "I can't wait."
I can't wait.
I just somebody please get these three, and then take some of their friends with them and explain objectively, why this is a bad idea.
Yeah. A very, very political discussion as far as this topic goes. So don't want to go too down that road, but let's just hope they come to their senses and realize that this isn't going to happen. But that's what I'm saying. Our legislators they don't know what they're looking at half this time. So I'm hoping Apple is looking closely at this and going to fight this if something does come to fruition here. So.
But David, I think you're right. I think it would be easy for one or both of us or anybody out there to make this a political issue.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, this is not a political issue. This is a technical issue of understanding the implications of a third-party app store, understanding the implications of side loading, and then deciding, is this something that you want to open folks up to? And forget which side of the aisle you sit on. Again, that's my concern, that people will look at this and from one party or the other and say, well, my party supports it, so yeah, go my party, and wipe that out. Stop that. Just take those hats off and look at the objective aspects of this, and then make your decision.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. It's this has been an ongoing topic for a while, even when we were just talking about just the side loading question, whether that's a secure thing to do or not. So we'll see what happens. Then last story this week, this is on Apple World Today. Our friend Dennis Sellers wrote this. Apple TV Plus has highest average engagement per video. With the streaming explosion, which has hit its apex, of course, during the COVID lockdowns in the second quarter. It is here to stay with new data from Coviva and Intelligence Cloud streaming media, and he says it's kind of good news for Apple TV Plus. They're saying the state of the streaming report reveals a streaming view time worldwide grew 13% in 2021, in the quarter two, compared to quarter in 2021, despite a 7% decline. And viewing in April in North America, they still saw a 2% increase over all this. So a lot of social video and engagements on Apple TV Plus. You're seeing a lot of new shows, which makes it exciting. I don't know about the ads. I don't see too many ads in Apple TV Plus, but one big thing is the connected devices, and what Apple TV Plus is really and Apple's been smart with is the fact with being on smart TVs, being on almost all of on Roku, and I believe it's on Fire TV, and other devices that you can watch and consume, the shows are of really good quality. Of course, we love Ted Lasso, but there's a lot of other shows they're offering as well. So, what do you think? I think this is some good news.
I think this is real good news, and I'm not quite sure. And feel free to disagree with me on this, but I feel like for some reason that the Apple TV shows are a lot more of an intentional watch. That you have to go to Apple TV to see the Apple TV shows. Yeah, I know that's kind of obvious, but it's not like you just happen to stumble across them, like you might with some other things, and as a result, I think this is really interesting. I think it's really good news because it shows that Apple is achieving its objective, and that objective was, to deliver quality entertainment, quality programming. That if it appealed to you, the odds were that it was going to really appeal to you, and that seems to be what has happened here.
Yeah, and it was interesting. And you're always attending the NAB conference, National Association of Broadcasters conference, and Apple was kind of rumored to be attending it, and then a few days later they're not attending anymore. Here, I was thinking they were going to finally be at a venue like that to find out more about streaming and being part of that world. And it seems I seem to think that Apple is really becoming more involved with video distribution and dealing with buying shows and buying movies, and so I think it's going to continue. I mean, this is great. I think it's a great thing, being a media company as well as a computer company and many other hats. Yeah,
but in typical Apple fashion, it seems like they're doing it on their terms,
right?
And this, it's been debated: should Apple attend NAB as an exhibitor, or of either the tools to create or as a streaming company or not? And I hate to keep going back to the old days of Macworld, when Apple left Macworld, but Apple at that point made a very specific statement that, we see all these people in our stores. We kind of really don't need to come to a trade show. And I'm starting to wonder if that's what their thinking is here too, that they command so much attention. I mean, by anything they do, the good, bad, or indifferent, they command so much attention. Do they really need to go and spend the money and have the presence when people seem to be beating down their doors to be involved with Apple? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not strictly in that part of that business.
Sure.
But I just tried to look at it from a little different perspective. Do they really need to be there? And look, let's face it, they will be there. I mean, there's no way that there won't be representatives somewhere at NAB.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
because
it just
it's the market. It's they getting more knowledge about it, and you're going to have a lot of active people in the industry. And Apple's more active than ever before with this. So definitely going to be interesting. Let's like I said, let's hope we'll continue to hope and look and enjoy for what they're offering so far. All right, let's move on to the topics this week. Beta iOS 15 Beta 5 is out this week, and there has been some changes as they continue to come out. You have Beta 5 in the developers, and you have Beta 5 with the public beta. So if those of you who decide to want to be a public beta tester, you can do that as well. I don't ever recommend, unlike Warren, to be putting it on a device that is your primary driver. I don't. I use it on an extra iPhone I have and an extra iPad I have. Older devices, but they're still supporting iOS 15, which is awesome. So don't do that. So got a link here from Mac Rumors. They're always great at covering this and just kind of give us a little bit of an insight so far what's been going on. A lot of cosmetic changes, it looks like the weather. The weather icon looks just a smidge different from color, which, I mean, you're really getting down to nitty-gritty, silly stuff, honestly, because do I really care about what the weather icon looks like? Same thing with Safari. In Safari, they have a reload icon that they've added where the address bar is collapsed while it's in the full web page view, and then the reload icon has been removed from the URL bar. That's been kind of a debate of what has been going on with Safari because of that floating bar. People there was a lot of pushback on that. So not too much in iPad. Some home screen setting changes. The control center camera icon looks a little different. Again, I think that's all they're really finding here is the way things are looking. So it's a lot of cosmetics. So that's kind of telling me they're getting somewhat closer for this to be a public release, wouldn't you think, at this point?
I would think so. But some of the things you mentioned are exactly the reasons that I have stopped running betas unless I just have absolutely nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Is it feels like you're learning a new version of the operating system only to have it change again before it comes out. Now, I don't run betas, for testing purposes like a lot of folks do. And the people that run them for testing purposes, yeah, they need to run them. But I'm with you. I think that the wisdom here for most people is keep your machines, all your devices as stable as you can, and don't run betas. Because there are too many issues that crop up even after releases. We talk a lot about maybe waiting until the 0.1 release of anything before doing the update, and instead everybody else, so many people seem to advocate, well, forget the 0.1 release, forget the 0.0 release. Let's jump into the betas, and it's you're going the wrong direction, guys.
Yeah.
Unless you have a real need, or just plenty of time on your hands, or as you said, David, a spare machine, then play all you want. But
absolutely, that's what I do, and when I have a chance. But this is my iPhone that has iOS 15 on it that I'm using as a camera. So, and it hasn't crashed on me, so I guess I'm okay. So, but it's definitely interesting. Believe me, we'll be talking about a lot of the things that iOS 15 is going to have to offer, because there's going to be so much discussion about it here soon enough. So, but we just like to each week we talk about the beta. Just want to let you know what's out there. They also seeded for tvOS for Apple TV, and they also seeded watchOS. I completely avoid watchOS. Even if I had a spare watch, I probably wouldn't even install it, because it's just the one thing with watchOS, you can't, once you install it, you can't go back, and it can be kind of messy. But they're doing some changes there overall. They've overhauled the Home app and the Workout app, and they're seeing some different things here. So definitely can be interesting to see where things go, as we always do. Other thing that I also have here noted, iOS 15 and iPadOS 15, the developer tool can now can more heavily prioritize 5G versus Wi-Fi connections, and they did release that this week, that it does prioritize that connection over Wi-Fi connection when an insecure Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi connection is slow. So I think that's a great thing if that's going to come true. 5G devices can run automatically prioritize that. So if your Wi-Fi is weak, then it'll see that and just prioritize it over to 5G. Yeah, I made a comment to you the other day on Mac Voices Live, and that I was standing and looking at a tower in my town, and I said, "Hey, I want to check the speed, because I'm looking at this tower and it's absolutely enormous, and there's so many cells up on the tower." So I go do a speed test on it. I'm getting almost 600 megabit speeds, on a 5G connection. So 5G is here to stay. I think that they just need to get it out in a place that in every place around the country and around the world, for that matter. Because not every town's, it's a buyer beware. Yeah, I'm not sure what your experiences are with 5G.
Not a lot, just because we have the fake 5G here. We don't have the real 5G yet. This I think is interesting. I hope though that this is something that they will let the user select. And I don't want to be the negative guy, but the one thing about 5G, it's going to be faster and all that. Do I really want that prioritized, over my Wi-Fi, if I have a data cap?
True.
That's going to be I don't want a data cap that I can burn through faster, especially if I have a Wi-Fi option. So I don't know what an interface would look like, other than just
general
prioritize settings. This, prioritize that. But I hope this is something that they let the user select only for that reason. Otherwise, giving people the option to do it would be great, so that they can preserve the experience.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be buried in settings like it usually is. It's just like Wi-Fi calling. You turn your Wi-Fi calling on or off to help when you have a weak cell connection and you're on Wi-Fi. You want to be able to get calls. It prioritizes it that way too. So but it's a little different. Wi-Fi isn't costing you anything as far as using that bandwidth. Well, depending, and then 5G could if you have a bandwidth cap, or you have only just so much data you have. These days, a lot of people have unlimited data, so it isn't as much of a problem. But there's still plenty out there who don't. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, and that's always shifting sand. That right now, I mean, Comcast, at least here in my state, I know they cut a deal with the state government that they were going to continue unlimited data for a while, as opposed to some other issues that were going to be imposed on them. And so, when will that come to an end? And, and that's for Comcast. There are plenty of other providers out there with all kind of different rules. And in every terms of service, it says, we reserve the right to change this at any time.
They do. And actually a bandwidth cap is in place here at my home. So, albeit it's like 1.2 terabytes, which I've rarely come close to it, but I know some homes they have, and then unfortunately you do have to purchase the unlimited plan through them. So there's another money making way for Comcast to get you if you are a whole household that has a lot of streaming devices. So, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Other beta thing that was out there was, and you probably weren't even aware of this, they had a first beta about this from the AirPods Pro, believe it or not. It's a firmware beta that adds a conversational boost. In July, they began providing developers with access to this beta version of the firmware to test the features ahead of their release. And even Warren actually said there's no way in heck that I would ever put this on my AirPods. And so I said, bravo, Warren, you're not going to put a beta and everything else, not your AirPods. But interesting to see that they're letting developers actually look and see what they can do with AirPods, for future with this. So I put this article in here so you check it out. Don't do it. I don't know. What do you think on this?
I agree.
It's crazy.
I do not need to run beta software on my AirPods. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. So just be aware of that there are some changes coming to the AirPods Pro. We both enjoy our AirPods Pro, and when they work right, and lately they've been doing pretty good. So at least for me anyway. And another topic here I want to talk about, there has been quite a few weather-related emergencies going on in the last few weeks here in my town. We've had some tornado touchdowns, not in my general area, but not too far away. Had a power outage as we were doing Mac Voices Live on Tuesday night this past week for me. I would like to discuss a little bit about how you receive, especially in the U.S., the government emergency alerts on your iPhone and how to turn them off if you desire. I have a link to an article in 9to5Mac here, and them talking about the different alerts. There's a number of ways where you can actually turn it on or off. And if you in the U.S., if you want to turn on these and test the emergency alert, you can go in and actually dial on your phone. It says *5005 *253371 and then tap the call button, and it'll say the tests are enabled, and you'll be able to test your emergency alerts. But albeit as that, it's a very simple process to just go into manage real-time alerts, and that's what kind of bothered me a little bit. I don't know about you, Chuck, but you go into this into the notifications and scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then there's a government alerts section there where you can turn on or off the Amber Alerts, emergency alerts, or public safety alerts. Now, some of those I have turned off because I've had them go off at 2-3 in the morning, especially an Amber Alert, and I understand how important an Amber Alert is to somebody abducted or a child been abducted, but there's sometimes I just prefer it not be on. So I don't know what your thoughts are with these alerts.
A couple things. So first of all, one thing I don't know is if they punch through do not disturb.
I think they do because I've had it on, and then they've had warning of like a severe thunderstorm or something. So
okay, I mean, I think it would make sense that they do. if here, and we're talking about some of these are federal, but some are local.
Right.
I think at some point, it's to your benefit. The one thing I have not seen, I don't feel like that these alerts have been misused. If you go to some news sites and sign up for their alerts, breaking news is that somebody broke a fingernail. No, that's not breaking news. These are things that at least for me, I would like to know if there's a tornado coming my way.
Oh, of course.
The Amber Alert thing, I agree with you, and we're treading dangerously close to something we're not going to talk about, but those are kind of things that can be potential life or death situations.
True. So,
I have mine turned on. They have, sure, I don't like it screaming at me at 3 a.m, but I definitely am going to roll over and say, what's going on? And the fact that they allow you to turn them off, that's good. It would be real easy for, some of the senators that we referenced in an earlier piece here to say, well, no, you can't, we want to legislate that you can't turn these alerts off. And so the fact that we still have the option to turn them off, great. If it really bothers you or there's a reason that you need to have them turned off, by all means. But otherwise, I find it hard to advocate turning off emergency alerts. And the test alerts, well, okay, I don't have a problem with that, because if this is an emergency system, they need to test it to make sure it works. And I think I would like to get those. Again, hopefully not at 2 a.m. So we constantly preach about testing your backups. And okay, so sometimes you have to test the emergency stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like I said, the good thing is, like we talked about with 5G a few minutes ago, it's your choice. You can turn it on, you can turn them off. So that article gives you the information on how to do that, and that's in the show notes. So check that out. So I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to do. Is both of us, of course, have the 5 top items that we talk about here on the show all the time: iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and the HomePod. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to find out from you, Chuck, what at least maybe 1 or 2 things that we can narrow it down, because I didn't think we'd want to go too crazy with each one of these devices that really stands out to you, that really is probably the most frequently used thing that you use on your particular device. And I wanted to let's go ahead and just start off here with you, Chuck. What do you think the most popular thing that you use on your iPhone? I know it's hard to think that. So
yeah, I mean, David, because when I looked at this, the only thing that I can say that I don't absolutely unconditionally use every day probably is the Apple TV. Okay. But every other one of those devices I use on a daily basis. I think I would have to say, well, to me it seems obvious that the iPhone probably is number 1, followed closely by the Apple Watch. And then the iPad is very close behind that. Mm-hmm. The HomePod, obviously, we're all spending more time at home right now, again, but, the HomePod I can't use unless I'm home. So if I'm home, I'm probably using it or for something, but even if it's just to invoke the S Lady. But yeah, the others, it's tough.
So, I mean, with the iPhone, what do you think is the most frequently item that you probably use on a daily basis? I mean, I can tell you, I'm browsing all the time. I think a lot of us do that on a whether it be Safari or any other browser that's on here.
Yeah, I might broaden that category out and say, just as you said, information management, because between email, texts, I have an RSS reader. Those are probably the things that I use the most. With a personal email account, a work email account, I'm constantly trying to keep up because of the information flood that's out there. So where some other folks, might go to the grocery store and stand in line and play a game, I'll sit there and flip through my RSS feed to see, what I'm missing or what's current. So yeah, if you can let me not pick a specific app, but more a function.
Function, yeah.
I think information management is first, and that to me is different than communication, because text, phone calls, and sending emails would fall under communication. But if nothing else, the iPhone is just a great triage device, so that I can get rid of stuff I don't need to deal with right then, or that I may never need to deal with, and then boil down what I do need to deal with either on the phone, the iPad, or when I get back to my Mac.
Okay. What about the iPad? What do you think you use your iPad for? For most, I mean, obviously, a lot of when you're traveling and doing a lot of video production, you use an iPad for that, for recording the videos and such. But
yeah, but I'm finding that I'm using my iPad more and more as in what I would consider a productivity process. Mm-hmm. It may not be. We've been joking on Mac Voices Live about that I don't use it as a productivity device. I may not sit down and write the great American novel on my iPad, but I have it up. In fact, you can probably see. You might be able to see it behind me. I'm not sure, depending on where I'm sitting in relation to it. Yeah, I think you can see it over my one shoulder. Mm-hmm. But it's always right there, as yet another screen for me to look something up. Or to make an extra note. And I've started using Trello as another way to manage and prioritize and keep track of projects. And it's awfully nice to have a Trello board, right up on the iPad beside me. So I kind of keep all my projects that are in process right there in front of me and in foremost in my mind. So that if I'm not working on this, I should be working on that, or I see what else I need to be doing. So that's becoming, and that may sound frivolous, but you know what? Hey, it's important to me. It works.
Me too. I mean, I use the iPad very similar to that, and it's interesting. Have you finally got your Apple Pencil, or are you still not using it yet?
I have my Apple Pencil, and I keep trying to use it, and. Yeah. I'm just not convinced that, for me, not being someone that has a lot of artistic skills, or, frankly, I don't even do that much writing with pen and paper anymore. Mm-hmm. Everything. First of all, I don't have the greatest handwriting in the world,
me either.
So if I type, people can read it, and that's important. But so much of the communication now is over email or Slack or Teams or whatever. And the pencil just doesn't exactly fit into my workflow. So I've got it. I keep it charged. Once in a while, I will remember to use it, but it's not like the first thing that I think about. Maybe I've just spent too much time not using the Apple Pencil, and I'm trying to get a little better about using it, but yeah. I don't find that I really need to.
I'm hoping with iOS 15, with that new feature that's coming out with the iPad for the quick notes, may change your mind a little bit. It may for me. I don't have an Apple Pencil for my older iPad that I have in beta, so I haven't really had a chance to play with it much because that one requires the first-gen pencil. I then just feel the need to have an expensive buying a pencil that I'm only going to play with once in a blue moon. So, but I'm hoping that that's going to become something that would make the device even more productive with using the Apple Pencil for jotting down notes and such quickly. I mean, you obviously you can go into note-taking apps and use that, but I think it's something that, even with the quick notes that could come in handy at some point.
I hope so. I mean, I'm anxious to try it, but there are applications out there that you can basically go in now, and whether you have it converted over to type or not, just scribble it in like you would on a notepad. Yeah. And I tried that for a while, and it ended up like, okay, the one benefit, and a very obvious benefit, is that if I take the note on my iPad via handwriting, okay, I find it harder to lose that particular piece of paper because it's my iPad. But beyond that, there was not a lot of difference for me than just having the iPad with the keyboard and being able to rip in there and type it in real quick. So yeah, but there are no right or wrong answers here. It's
right.
what works for you,
and that's what I want to have our little bit of a discussion here about this, because it's everybody's different how they want to do it. I was going to bring up the fact that I like to consume video. There's a lot of times I don't want to sit in front of a TV. I may want to sit maybe at my desk, or just have it sitting off to the side while I'm working on something, or maybe want to listen to music, or maybe watch a video. Whether it be on Apple TV Plus or any other the streaming services. I find it nice. I have the 11-inch iPad. I believe you have the 12.9 one, right?
Yes.
So you would obviously be even more compelled to do it because it's a much larger screen, not by much, but I've always enjoyed the 11 because of the size and the price is a little pricey for me, but I've always for the most part had the 11-inch, and I've enjoyed it. So that's probably some of the things that I do. Just media consumption, and we both just like listening to podcasts. I don't mind doing that on YouTube. Going on there and being able to listen to stuff, and Netflix, and so. I agree with you. A lot of the stuff that you just brought up with the iPad, I think, is something that, in addition, I think it's something like consuming, media is a nice thing on the iPad.
I agree with you completely. I mean, my iPad is always loaded with something for me to watch.
Yeah.
If I do get stuck somewhere, and I need to kill some extra time, or just don't want to be constantly doing the productivity thing. There's always something on there for me to watch, but because the screens are gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's convenient. I think one of the biggest tricks is just learning, remembering, maybe making it part of your workflow that you always have content loaded up. We were talking about the IMDb thing earlier.
Yep.
I very seldom sit down with iPad or with TV and say, gee, let's see what's on.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch something, that I have already decided I wanted to watch that. So it's now on my iPhone, my iPad, wherever. And that's what I'm choosing from, as opposed to just wandering around. I know a couple people have said, I forget what the term is for just wandering around Netflix and never being able to find anything that, you settle on, and you end up killing the evening. It's like, no, I don't do that, because I already know I have a list of things I want to see. And so that's where I go. Depending on what my mood is, one of those is bound to suit me.
And then I'll tell you a good service I use a lot is, we just been talking about Comcast Xfinity. Xfinity Streams is an awesome app, and I actually applaud them for what they've created. It's had a long time coming here of its growth, because I have the X1 technology, being able to watch shows and such at home on my TV. But they have a great streaming service that just kind of allows me to just go to an iPad or an iPhone for that matter. But I have the 12. We both have the 12 Pro Max, so even watching, I want to watch the news, or if I want to watch something that I recorded through my DVR, it's a nice option to be able to watch that stuff as well. And if I want to grab something live, I can go on and listen and watch it, not have to go sit in front of a TV. Or there might be a room you want to sit in and you don't want to be in front of a TV. The nice thing of having an iPad is you can do that. And I think that's another example of a great service for video consumption.
Agreed. And because the iPad is right there in front of you, somebody that's a lot better at math than I am could tell you, what that's the equivalent of screen size. But
right.
It's a lot cheaper to buy an iPad and have it right there in front of you and have that experience than to sit across the room in front of a giant TV.
Yeah, 65 or 70 inch or 90 inch for that matter TV. So
yeah. I mean, what percentage of my field of vision is this iPad taking up here in front of me versus that TV over there?
And with the new ones, with the M1 processor, and you've got the XDR display, and it's just so more immersed. With the screen more so than ever. All the years I've owned an iPad, I think this M1 I've had, you're getting XDR where I'm not, but I still find it to just be a very pleasant experience with watching video. So,
yeah, agreed.
So that was good debate on the iPad here. Apple Watch. I know you had a bit of a story that you had a challenge where you had to take your watch off. We won't go into why, but I think it really kind of proved to you, right, that it was an important part of your life of having the watch on, right? I mean, that's really what you found.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind saying, and just to make sure people don't understand that there was a good reason, and that was that I had poison ivy down where your watch lives on either wrist. So I was not able to wear it for about 2 weeks. Yeah. And that's why when you were asking me to prioritize these, it's like, I don't know, because I discovered that the Apple Watch, I used and referred to the Apple Watch a lot more than I really knew I did until I couldn't do it anymore, until I didn't have it with me. And so it made me appreciate that a lot more. And it made me think, that might be in second place behind the iPhone. I'd really have to try to quantify it. So, yeah, that's it. These are such great devices, and they've become integrated in my life. And, if you spent the money, I would encourage you to learn more about what they can do for you, because I think, you should. I mean, it'll make your life better or easier, and you've already made the investment.
Was any apps or anything on an Apple Watch that stuck out to you that you missed the most?
Yeah, the big thing was text notifications. Mm-hmm. I mean, I missed a text notification from you, and I found it like two days later. It's well, how did I miss this? Well, I realized that, normally I would get a little vibration on my wrist and know that you or anybody had texted me, and I was not getting those. And I'm not one that walks around, with the phone in my hand. So if I didn't have that, and I didn't have those notifications, I was missing things.
Yeah. I think one thing I do like having a lot is when I set my iPhone down, I can't remember where the heck I put it, and being able to do the iPhone notification. And I'm sure lots of us out there are using that. It just, like this morning, it's early morning. I just woke up. I'm getting ready for work, and so what do I do with my iPhone? I'm going crazy. And then I, just swipe up and press the button to notify where it is. And of course, it's sitting on my desk right where I'm there, because I forget where I set the darn thing down. So, but they have some great things in here. I mean, including the flashlight. I mean, we've talked about this. The flashlight is actually pretty impressive, because I've done that a lot of times, and I'm ready to go to bed. I'm walking in the dark and heading to my bedroom, and instead of me turning the flashlight on from the iPhone, I just turn this on, and it is really bright. And I don't know how much you've used it, but I mean, that's a pretty cool thing that they've added to the Apple Watch.
I agree. And, somebody's going to say, okay, I'm going to spend all this money for, text notifications and a flashlight. No, you're missing the point. The point is that this is a device that you have with you all the time, or, depending on whether you wear it to bed or not, but you have it with you all the time. And so there are all those opportunities for it to do things for you or to make your life just a little better. So, it's not just... that's it. You start trying to say one or two things, and I feel like you're discounting all the others. It's the whole package that makes it worth it.
Absolutely. So far, we've got 3 devices. We love all 3 of them, and I think it'll always continue to be that way. I don't think I'd ever want to be without those top 3 we've just talked about. I kind of agree with you with the Apple TV. I don't. And in fact, I know you've had some discussions. You were on a previous show talking about the Apple TV, and isn't worth it anymore at this point, because Apple is not done a good job of marketing it and pushing it to the fact that isn't worth it, because the Apple TV app is available pretty much everywhere at this point. So why would I not want to buy a $29 Roku device to be able to watch the content on there, which is perfectly fine. Yes, I do like the interface on the Apple TV, but I've got the new remote that they just came out with the new devices. I bought it, but I'm finding it's taken me time to get used to it, because I was so used to having the old remote, which of course everybody hated it. But it is a decent remote. I mean, and I'm forcing myself to be that. You always forget on the new remote to press it. You actually have to. As far as doing the sound, doing like Siri and that stuff, it's on the side of the remote. The microphone. So if you want to, because before you just had to tap the button on the old remote and then talk into it. Well, you got to remember it's on the side. But of course, I have this rubber case on here that I bought too with an AirTag in it, so I don't lose my remote. it takes a little getting used to with this remote. But we have so many other devices that we consume, video that you kind of have to wonder what the cost. We've spent a fair amount of money on the Apple TV as it is. Is it something that's going to be worth it? I think the interface is good. I'm going to assume that you'll feel the same as far as when you are using it.
Yeah, and I think that it's so easy to discount and start talking dollars and sort of lose sight of the fact that the experience is. And I'm going to sound like an Apple fanboy. All right, let's
we both are, so it's okay. That's why we're here.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but I've got a Roku TV, I've got a Fire TV,
I do too.
And those are okay interfaces, but I find that the Apple TV and an interface, I think, is a lot friendlier. Are they making suggestions to you? Of course they are, just like the others. But I just don't feel like they're as intrusive. I think for me, it is all about the interface, because from a function standpoint, yeah, I can probably get everything else through a Fire Stick or the Fire TV or the Google Stick or the Roku. In fact, in some, you might even argue that at times I can get more if more is really what you want. But I like the Apple TV interface, and
I do.
Is it a little salty to pay for that just for the interface? Yeah, but it also depends, I think, on, well, first of all, on who you are. Are you an Apple person or not? But more importantly, how much do you use your TV? And oh boy, this too is dangerous. I'm not going to call any names, okay? But I know that for a while I had a video set up that was so convoluted that nobody could turn it on but me, because I knew, okay, this has to turn on that, and turn this one on, turn that one on. Okay, now we're ready to watch TV 5 minutes later, and I know I'm not alone in that. And
same here.
I'm not married. I'm single, so I can do that. If I had anybody living here with me,
the wife
if I had somebody, if I had somebody living with me, they'd probably kill me. So with the Apple TV, you set up, you fire it up, and now you've got that one interface, and it's pleasant to use. And I don't think that the experience of the interface is being given enough credit.
Yeah, I agree. So, again, and that's kind of why we don't really cover it during beta too, because they do beta updates on the Apple TV, but there really isn't anything super exciting that they do with the interface. Maybe some minor improvements, but Sam that would do with that as well. And then finally, just a quick wrap up. HomePod. You and I both have the old HomePod, the big HomePod, which of course was discontinued, and we also have HomePod Minis. Briefly, I mean, are you finding it still something that you enjoy? I've got it set up in a pair, and it's working so much better now with Mac OS Big Sur, and I'm able to play everything through AirPlay. So it's working a lot better. But anything that really, like, name one thing that stands out that you do like about it?
The fact that I have several. I'll confess, I have two of regular size HomePods, and then I have two minis.
Same here.
The regular size are in a stereo pair in the living room. Mm-hmm. The minis are spread throughout the house. And I love the fact that I can be listening to a podcast or music or whatever I'm listening to. And if I'm sending it out through that system, I don't have to carry anything with me. It doesn't follow me, of course. Yeah. It just is playing everywhere.
Absolutely.
And in a quality that, because the scenario I'm describing is not one where I'm sitting down and saying, "Oh, I'm really going to absorb this," and really, right. It's casual. It's more casual listening.
Absolutely.
And again, it sounds like we're both kind of spoiled here with all the toys, but it means that I can get more out of whatever it is that I'm doing, and that to me kind of sums up why we love our Apple devices.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I want to kind of wrap that up with the HomePod. I'm 100% in agreement with you as well. I did take my two HomePod minis for the moment because I had to do some stuff in where my basement TV is. A whole another story with having a little bit of a problem with our floor and the flood in there. But I got it set up temporarily, and I didn't want to reset up the home theater because. So I thought, hey, this might be a great opportunity to put two little HomePod minis in place and at least have something for some good sound down there. And it actually turned out pretty good. They sound good. They don't compare to the full size HomePods, but yeah, they work out really good. So. And a couple other topics here before we wrap things up here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Apple One bundle here, and OS X Daily had a good article, and I wanted it was just a reminder about the fact that you actually can get up to 4 terabytes of storage if you have the Apple One Premier. I'm not sure, Chuck, which do you have? Are you in the bundle as far as all the Apple services?
No, I'm not. And honestly, I've been just negligent in doing it. It's something I need to do.
Okay.
Just to save the money. There's certain aspects of the bundles that aren't compelling to me, but
Right.
At the end of the day, they would save me money. So I just need to kick myself and go do it.
Yeah, it is worth it. And I'm doing the Apple One Premier, $29.95. I don't need you guys. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can go back and look at the other offerings. But the other thing too is you don't have a lot of family you want to share with, but I thought it would be a nice benefit to share it with my family members. So I have the family sharing plan on it, and they get to have the benefit of having all those services which they weren't used to before. So it's kind of a feel good, and to being able to share it. And the nice thing about the Apple One bundle for the Premier, it comes with 2 terabytes of storage. But if you have a really big family and you really have a lot of challenges with space, you actually can add an extra 2 terabytes, making it the 4 terabytes of space. That's a lot of data. Now, that's going to add another $9.99 a month of cost on top of the $29.99 as you're going to be paying for the bundle. So, think about it that way. Is it worth it? If you can really need all that space, and if everybody has got a lot of consumed space, obviously a lot of people taking photos and videos, and that's probably the biggest culprit of space here. But the article does describe, and I'm going through this, just how to subscribe to the Apple One bundle. You go into the subscriptions and go in to get the Apple One bundle, and then you can try it out. And then it gives you the plan. And of course, you get Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, you get Arcade, you get 2 terabytes of storage, you get News Plus, and you get Fitness Plus. And you can trial it too if you'd like. Now, the way you go in to actually go and upgrade the iCloud storage plan to stack it up with the 2 terabytes, you go into the iCloud and you manage storage. And then you can go in and change storage and then select 2 terabytes. And then you confirm you want to buy that 2 terabyte plan. So it's kind of a bit of a workaround. So you've got that 2 terabyte plan that you've purchased on top of the bundle, and then all of a sudden you will have 4 terabytes. So Apple hasn't changed it as of yet, and as it mentions this in the article as well. But it's something that's, for those of you who are looking for a lot of storage, it's not a bad idea. So, but go take a look at those bundles. I think they're worth it. Chuck, you're overdue. You got to go grab that Premier bundle.
Yes, I do. And if you are balking just a little bit the price, I was trying to find it here, and it's not easy to find on their website. Maybe that'll tell you something. But go see what Dropbox stores charges for 2 terabytes or 4 terabytes, and compare it. And the fact that with iCloud, it is so integrated into all of your devices. Dropbox, not nearly as much.
Right. Exactly. So. Last thing I want to talk about this week is the fact of the autofilling of passwords using iCloud keychain versus using a password manager like one password. I don't know about you, Chuck, but I do use both 1Password, and I also do the keychain of being able to store all your passwords in the Apple keychain. It gives you 2 places to actually store things, and you have the option to use either one. So, and it's your choice. I mean, I actually have it set so you actually can go. And have both available, and you could choose between them. Do you do something like that, like I do, or do you only use 1Password?
No, I do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And I need to standardize on that. But I have passwords for different things stored different in either the keychain or in 1Password. So it's kind of necessary that you have to do that. It's not the best, most efficient practice, but there it is.
Yeah. So the nice thing about it is if you go into settings, you go into passwords, and that's where all your autofill settings are. And if you go into autofill passwords, there is a choice in there that gives you options of where you can use different passwords. Now, the other unique thing, and I forgot about this, I want to make sure I mentioned when you go into autofill, you have iCloud keychain, and I use 1Password as well as I know you do as well. But it also includes an authenticator app. I use Microsoft's authenticator app, and it's actually I'm finding it to be a much better app, and I'll be using Authenticator more than a lot of the ones that are out there. I use it for work, of course, but I've also been using it for other apps as well. So you can use that as autofilling. So if you want to be able to fill in the Authenticator code that it gives you, you have the option there, which is pretty cool. Even Chrome has that option too, because I don't know if I'd use Chrome. It's there, it's turned off, but Chrome is in there as well. So, but then you can go into 1Password. And of course, 1Password is so much more robust when it comes to the way the passwords are in there as well and managing it. So, and I'm sure as you're a very big 1Password user, right?
Yeah. I've been using 1Password for literally years. And I've never had cause to question the security or the privacy aspects of it, and the functionality has been just terrific. Plus, and there are all those little extras. You can store things securely inside their vaults.
Right.
So, for example, I'll take pictures of my credit cards and put them in the vault, front and back, so that I always have all those numbers, all the current information, should anything happen and I need to contact the company. I can just, pop it open and feel pretty secure that if somebody were to steal my iPhone, first they've got to get into the iPhone itself, then they've got to get into 1Password. And that's not going to be something that's very, very easy to do at all.
Absolutely. So check it out. We'll have links in the show notes about that. And I think it's important to make your choices how you store passwords, but you don't have to use both. If you just want to use the Apple keychain, and I think a lot of people do that, then more power to you. It's absolutely secure. And Apple keeps it encrypted, and it's backed up on iCloud, so you won't lose it. As well as you back up 1Password when you have that set up as well. So, but boy, we had some great conversations today, and the show has just got away from us. So we're at our close here. We have made it to our hour here. So I want to go ahead and wrap things up. And that is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can find us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Go to our YouTube page, which is at youtube.com/DaveG65. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. And I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Chuck, as always, thanks for being here. Where can people find you?
Hey, thank you, David. It's always a pleasure. MacVoices.com is where you can find everything I put out. Pretty much everything is linked there. We do Mac Voices live Tuesday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at Mac Voices TV. And on any of the socials, you're welcome to agree or disagree with me at any given moment as @ChuckJoyner.
Thanks so much, Chuck. Appreciate everybody listening. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.